We drove, me and another mom drove together.
Was it 10, 12 hours?
Yeah.
Doable.
Yeah.
Pretty long, but you get it done in a day, and then go the rest of the week.
Right. And in fact, that's actually better than driving.
Okay, thank you.
And he won't let me drive. So then he's like, you're sleeping. And I'm like, if you want me to sleep, you better start talking, baby.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, our dance coach was like,
I appreciate it. Yeah.
yeah.
That helps, for sure.
But yeah, we drove to Tesla tomorrow.
That's just nice.
It's still nice, but it's like,
It's all.
we definitely stayed in way there.
I will say I got a family friend in Chattanooga, so we could
Mm.
do
That'd be nice, yeah. That'd be nice.
What's fun in Chattanooga?
mountain.
Oh,
Yeah.
Smoky Mountain.
We did like the,
Okay,
like
thank
mountain
you.
coaster in Chattanooga.
Good.
Maybe next time.
Yep. It looks
It
like
was
it's
good
pretty
one, like one night stop. We weren't staying in Chattanooga, it was just a
Chattanooga is
stop.
the place I found out that, diesels, they have a different brake system. So it's like a little down,
Jake
thing you
brakes,
gotta go,
whatever they
and
call
it's like, if you don't start pressing the brakes right now, you'll, whatever,
You cut it down.
and you look at the little divvy outs on the other, on the sides of the roads, and where they have to kind of
Perfect, all right, good deal.
crash into in some ways, to prevent killings.
Well, neighbors do not want to see it.
Is it the temperature
I
or
wonder
something?
if it's the humidity.
Yeah.
Well, it might have been wet.
I agree with you.
What's that?
I know, I don't know.
Okay.
why.
Mine's not flat.
It's me, yeah.
Mine's bulldogs.
You know what? Have they been sitting? That's the way it is. She normally picks them up.
Yeah.
I put them in here on Friday and they cleaned the carpets on Saturday, so
Oh,
I think it's
yeah.
like humidity.
So she's, I did ask for a deep high before we were in here. I'm like, and then he just do this, and they did, so it's great.
Yeah. Sorry. We distracted.
It's all good, we're set, ready to go.
She's sorry.
I think,
And I did not occur to me.
To what?
On what?
There's a clicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carter's
You
got
want
a
the
clicker
clicker?
for me. Yes, please, there you go.
I was curious, what Keegan would do.
I guessed right on the temperature, I wasn't real sure what it was gonna be like, so.
There's a little chill in the air.
Yeah. Of course, I think it was extra humid outside today.
All right, so, I asked Dr. Boatwright to come and share, we spent last year at retreat, shared cultural proficiency work, and, Dr. Boatwright has done a lot of work, this past spring about kind of the next steps of cultural proficiency and what we're ready for and what the team, the cultural proficiency team, is ready for and what we're ready to roll out with our departments as well as our buildings and utilizing the data that we have, to guide that work. And so she's going to share that information with all of you. So I'll turn it over to Ann.
Well, good afternoon. So, I'm excited about the work.
I was drinking. Good afternoon.
So I'm really excited about the work that the team did this summer. We met late, just to make sure we had everything in that we would need to pull into the conversations. And this team is really no different than any other team in the fact that we seek feedback and then we want to use that feedback in our decisions that we're making. So I'm excited about how we're moving forward. Just as a reminder, because I know we've slept since last year, and it's been a year, but I want to make sure that you know who's on the core team and who's represented and helping to guide the conversations and then go back to buildings. And so as you can see, we have a variety of individuals who are represented both on the certified and the classified staff. Because this is not just a certified initiative, but it's also with our classified staff. So how are we supporting that?
And I will say too, that's always in the back of our mind, how do we reach our classified staff and our departments? Because that work is just as important. And so if you have questions about that, please don't hesitate to ask.
Last year I shared with you kind of the timeline since that was the first time we really talked in the depth that we did. And so I wanted to bring you a little bit up to speed. And so last year when we met, we talked about what we were moving towards for the 24-25 school year. And since that's concluded, I wanted to make sure I shared that and then give you a little peek about where we're headed for 25-26. So one of the things we have to keep in mind is that we have turnover, we have individuals who retire and leave and come to us. So how do we update and catch up those individuals who maybe haven't been with us for 5 or 6 years in the work we've been doing, similar to curriculum? How do we get them caught up to speed? And so one of the ways that we do that is we have begun to integrate the sharing of the modules during NTA. Now, it's a much briefer version of that. So take 10 modules that we've done in a 4-year span, and we try to condense that to give them a snapshot of the work that we've done, along with familiarity with the language that they might hear and things like that. So last year during NTA, we did present for almost, it was a pretty lengthy, as the feedback that we received is they really wanted to go a little bit deeper, and we wanted to get them into the activities and not just saying this is what we've done, but what are the activities that our teachers had the opportunity to experience and our classified staff and take them through that. So then this past year, we also shared out modules 8, 9, and 10. So there was a module in the fall and the winter and the spring, and those were developed by the core team. So that group worked together to develop those modules. Again, we want a common language, we want a common message that is being shared with everyone so that we have a solid foundation. We do give autonomy to buildings to determine how that's going to happen. They may be in different places. They might have a lot of new staff, they might have staff who are ready to take it to the next level as far as in the conversation. And we don't want to be the determiners of that, but we want to provide the same experience as best we can. And so what we do then is we provide those modules with a guide that helps those principals. I don't know about you guys, but the hardest thing is when someone has created something for you and then you have to present it. Sometimes it's hard because you don't always know what the thought and process was behind why did you pick that word over this word or that activity over another one. So we really try to make it as simple and streamlined as possible for them.
Can I ask you
Yeah.
a clarifying question? So modules 8, 9, and 10 are building-wide, not just New Teacher Academy. The new
Correct.
teachers just get what they've
Yep.
already gone over,
Yes.
so 1 through 7.
Yeah, so those were new this past year.
Okay.
8, 9, and 10 were, yeah, so. And then just so you know, as we move through the presentation, I'm gonna use CP to represent cultural proficiency, just to kind of save space. So anytime you see that, that's what I'm referring to, or PD for professional development. So then the CP team met throughout the year, again, that's that core group again, and discuss next steps. And in addition, we might make update, or we made some updates to some of the modules along the way based upon some of the feedback that we received, so that we made sure that it was timely and appropriate. And then we want to empower the principals and directors to then integrate the cultural proficiency work in their PD and their building work. And so there have been times I've met with directors and we talk about, okay, what does this look like in nutrition services? What does this look like in transportation? Those types of things to really help customize it, because those are unique positions and the conversations might be a little bit different than they would in a building. So that was this past year and the work that we've done there. So moving into 25-26, we will again, now the overview at NTA is going to be much bigger because now we're integrating modules 8, 9, and 10 as best we can. And so we'll do that during New Teacher Academy. I think they actually did that on the first day. And then we'll talk about the transition plan, the cultural proficiency transition plan to, I say buildings, but it's really buildings and departments. It's not just the buildings. And then we'll take the CP and we built it into, and then how do they take that and build it into their school improvement plans and their department plans, so that it becomes just a part of the fabric of what they do on a daily basis. So that's the direction we're moving. And as you can see, 25, 26, and I'll talk more about this here in just a minute, it's really going to be more building and department led versus the district is telling you exactly what to say and here's all of the verbiage that you have to do. So we've laid the foundation for the last 4 years, actually it's been 5 years, and we've established what we want it to look like and how we want them to use it, and now we want them to take hold of it and it becomes just a part of the environment of what they do. So this is just kind of a reminder about the continuum that we use, and this is one way, just one, that we gauge where we are in our learning. We use this to self-evaluate our growth, the growth of departments and of buildings, and keep in mind that people can move along this continuum in their growth during cultural proficiency. We encourage individuals to evaluate their own growth and where they are, along with where their staff are in the continuum and in the work. So what we like to do is we're moving towards cultural proficiency, but understanding that depending on the topic, depending on the conversation, we might be back a little bit further because that may be an area that we saw a lot of growth to do. So one of the things that we've asked buildings and departments to do is to have individuals personally evaluate where they are on the continuum, but then have them evaluate where they feel like their building is. Because you might be in one place, but the building or department could be in another place. Again, just depending on what your staff look like, as far as have you had a lot of turnover, have you been very consistent in that. And so this is the working definition and the continuum for growth that we are seeking to achieve. So one of the things that I shared with you last year is the team kept talking about how do we know it's working, right? How do we know that we're having an impact in what we're doing? And so we talked about ways to measure that, and some of that can be hard data and some of it can be anecdotal data. And so last year I shared with you for the first time in our professional development, we do a survey after every professional development day, whether that be building or cross-district. We, the PD committee developed an additional question that we felt like aligned to the work that we were doing with cultural proficiency so we could measure the impact that we're having. So the question up above is a question that we integrated into the survey. 23, 24, and I shared this last year, data is in white. And so along the, you'll see that anything that has a number that's on the top row, that's going to be building. So that was data that we collected for building professional development. And then down below, that second row, that is cross-district. So that's going to be your grade level or content areas. And how they felt like this question applied to the work that they were doing during that time. If you see on dates like September 25th, October 23rd, that means that we had a building professional development day and a cross-district professional development day.
So half and half.
Yeah, split.
If
Yeah,
I remember correctly. Oh, sorry.
Do you have averages of these numbers? Because it looks like it went down.
these are the averages.
Okay, well, like the average building across for each year and cross-district all the way across? Because it looks like this year went down from last year, like just.
There are some areas that went down. So this is the average for this question during the August 13th building PD. We took that's of every single building and how they were
Yeah.
overall.
But you were wanting to know if there's
Like, if
one
there's a
number.
theme, like it's gone
Oh.
up for building and down for cross, like for over the whole year, because it looks like it's gone down. And if we looked at that, like I'm just kind of quickly
So
How many
they
points
dig,
different?
buildings will dig into their own data and they'll look at that as well and be able to see. Theirs may have gone up where other buildings may have gone down. So we give them time during our professional development, committee retreat to kind of dig into that. And that's one of the questions we ask them is if something's changed, what's impacted it? So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I don't know that we've gotten into that side of it.
Yeah, well, I'm just
Yeah.
looking, like, even if we just do the cross-district one, it looks like it's gone down, because all of the numbers are lower or equal if you match up to one. There was one additional one, but I was
Yeah.
just curious if we've done anything to look at the whys and why that may have decreased a little bit on that question.
So this particular survey is a Likert scale, and then it's optional to give additional feedback from staff. So unless they provide it for us, we might not know it. However, I have another survey of information I'm gonna share with you that's specific to just cultural proficiency. This has more to do with our professional development days. The other is gonna address more what the work we've done with CP. So, Brady, did you have?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, if I remember correctly, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's like strongly disagree and disagree,
Yes.
agree, strongly agree.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, that's the Likert that we work with.
So really, we're seeing like over 3.5%, or like more people said like than just like, if it's a 3.74, right?
Yeah, so that's gonna be your agrees and your strongly agrees,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
However, it could be this in 24-25, there were more agrees versus strongly agrees. And so
Could've
it
been,
would be
yeah.
interesting to
Yes,
know why
yeah.
that was, why we're
Yeah.
not all, because ideally we'd all be fours, yes,
Yeah.
understand.
I just tend to find, and I don't know about you all, when I take a survey, it's hard for me to always do a really strongly agree. I mean, there has to be,
For sure.
it's rare,
Mhm.
unless I have a 5-point scale where I have some more neutrality,
Yeah.
so.
So to Wendy's point though,
Yeah.
I think, like you said, I'm the same way, it's hard for me to give a full, because
Yeah.
you can never know improvement, really. But something to look at, I think, was to look at year over year.
Yeah.
And what, I think what Wendy's point, tell me if I'm wrong, is that the average for all of the PD for sessions for the prior year and for all of the sessions, the building went from 3.75 to 3.72.
Yeah, I see
Yeah.
what you're saying, but I
Yeah.
also can see how that seems like, you got 6 more people that
Well,
said,
but if
four
it's
and
something to look
three.
at for future years,
It
or
brings up
maybe
the
it's just,
question.
maybe all of the people
Yeah.
that did strongly agree actually went to disagree. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it could have been a shift that way
Right.
versus just moving to disagree.
Yeah.
But it
Just something to
creates-
look at, and maybe next year we'll have different data and.
It creates the question of why did it change, I think.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's.
And I think, keep in mind, you don't have 100%, now we strive all the time to have 100% participation, but it's anonymous, and we don't have a way to see who has and who hasn't. But if 10 less people in a building took it, that'll impact your score. I think it's fair to say all of those things are factors. I think it's also fair to look at the timing of when some things happen, for, just as a factor. But I do believe to look into it and evaluate it and see what's going on, so.
Well, and you can also pull your completion rates as well,
Yes, we can.
so to know.
So you have a little bit of a why to go.
Yeah.
And especially, I'm looking at the November 5th at 3.66, which is lower than, anything to it. What was the topic
Sure.
that day?
Yeah,
Yeah, because maybe it's just a selection of a different topic.
yeah.
yeah.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
How do we insist 100% participation while maintaining confidentiality? So my experience is we do have surveys at my job that are confidential, but there is some mechanism that can report or track whether or not I have participated anonymously. Do we have that practice?
So we can get, like Dr. Grant mentioned, a percentage of the completion for a particular building or across district. One of the things that I've asked buildings and our cross-district instructional leaders to do is to carve out time during that to do it. That is the last thing, so we're gonna take the last 15 minutes, I need everyone to log into the survey, complete the survey, and I think the other way that you show validity to the feedback is you talk about it.
Yeah.
So unless I'm coming back as a building and saying, okay, this was our score last time on PD, and this is our score this time, and the comments that you shared were, we didn't feel like it was ABC, or we really, really liked, so we made adjustments based upon that. And so, that is something we talk about after every single survey that we take as a district committee, but then they have carved out time to give them, because I think time it's hard sometimes, right? I go back after a long PE, the last thing I wanna do is fill out a survey, right? I gotta get somewhere, I gotta pick kids up, those types of things. So we look at completion rates and we ask the building reps to share those numbers with their buildings. And I will say, we talk about that, because I give them the percentages, and if they change, I ask them, what did you do differently? Or if your building had a higher percentage rate, how did you do that? What is it that you do, so that I can take that, so.
Well, and two, Dr. Boatright shares the completion rates of the surveys, and so we see, okay, a building, like, the last 2 times, we have 50% completion. Okay, we need to go back and we need to have completion and having that conversation, because that's important. This is what drives what we do, and if we don't have staff feedback, then we can't address it.
Good, yeah, okay. So, I did want to share, I know I shared what we did this year, but I want to get into a little bit of the meat of what was experienced during the 24-25 school year, so that you can just kind of see the work that our buildings and departments have been doing as we move forward. So in our fall module, we talked about, these were just some of the big topics that we talked about. We talked about the growth versus learning brain, and how this embraces challenges. We see the effort as a key for improvement. Growth versus fixed mindset is about understanding that mistakes are a part of the learning process, and mistakes are accepted as growth and encouraged both for students and staff. So take those challenges and be able to understand that it's not going to be punitive if you're trying something new. We want you to experience that. And that's both not just for our students, but for our staff as well. That belief that you can develop talents through hard work, and that it's not just something that you're born with, and kind of going in that direction. So when we talk about fixed mindset, or referencing some of the language and learning that we've done in previous modules, we talk about survival brain. This is when we get in a mode of we're no longer in the learning side of our brain, but we're just in the survival side of our brain. This is when we tend to have avoidance. We avoid any challenges. We believe that our abilities are static, and we don't have the ability to do that. We also believe that intelligence and talent is unchangeable. And so, for example, as a former math teacher, many times I heard from kids, I just can't do math. I just don't have the skills to do math. And that would be more of a fixed mindset versus you can't do math yet. And so we're trying to understand how the brain functions, so that we can encourage different vocabulary with our students when we're talking about that. And so that academic mindset, we know, impacts students' motivation. We also know that it impacts community, a sense of community and belonging in a classroom, and then which in turn impacts those learning outcomes. So we talked about understanding the brain. So again, going back to why does the brain function the way that it does? And so that's been a lot of our learning, is because our reactions and our experiences come from those experiences, and how our brain functions. So we talked about the guard dog response. So this is when the brain may interpret new challenges as threats. So going back to the math example, I'm not good at math, and so it's threatening to me, and so I might shut down. So how do we respond to that as adults, so that we know what we're seeing is not just a sense of complacency, or I don't want to be a part of it, but how do we respond differently to not get into a battle with kids, and knowing that maybe this has not been a good experience for them all along. So we also have talked about negativity bias. So the brain retains negative experiences more strongly, especially, and I'll give some examples of microaggressions. So negative biases are when that brain remembers and responds to a negative experience up to 3 times more than a positive experience. So think back to a situation you had in school, maybe when you were growing up. wasn't a good experience, as soon as you were back in that, you immediately go into that negative bias. You immediately associate that type of experience with something that was not good. So how do we change that experience for kids? How do we change that for even adults too? Because they could have that same, have had that same experience either in a different workplace or with a colleague or even as a kid when they were learning. So those negative biases are not always bad for us because they also help keep us from being harmed. And so it can remind us of what's happened, but it's how do we re-channel that. And so then we talked as teams at our buildings, we talked about microaggressions. And so those could be dismissive towards, so an example might be, is being dismissive towards a cultural identity. It could be the time to properly learn, not taking the time to properly learn the pronunciation of someone's name and just dismissing that because, well, I can't say that, and so I'm just gonna give you a nickname, you know, those types of things. And so understanding that all of those experiences play into how we react to individuals. And then negating life experiences. So an example of that could be trivializing or dismissing a student or a staff's experience and then telling them that you're just being too sensitive. So it's understanding, again, how all of our experiences inform our interactions with other people. So we talk about that. And then shifting that mindset into validating lived experiences, fostering that self-efficacy, and reframing our mistakes to be learning opportunities, and trying to create a counter narrative for some of those experiences for both staff and students. And then the district versus building data and goals. So this year, we looked at behavior data. And we noticed that there was a disproportionality existed among some of our subgroup data in our discipline. And so we talked about, well, what are we doing about it? So we know it's here. How do we address it? And now that we have this awareness, and what do we need to do with that? And so each group set SMART goals to address those gaps and to track that progress over time. And so we took a deep dive into not only the building data, but then we asked them to get into, or excuse me, not only the district data, but we asked them to get into their building data. Does your building, are they seeing the same trends as what we're seeing at the district level? And we took it one step further, which was we then asked them to get into their classroom data. So am I contributing? What am I doing that's causing this disproportionality? Am I more hypersensitive to certain races, genders, behaviors, expectations, experiences? And so we began to look at that. So we started very broad, that's very safe. We dug down into buildings and asked them to look at their data and have conversations around that themselves. And then we asked them to evaluate their own classroom. That was not, we didn't ask them to share that out. It was taking a personal self-reflection on what was going on. And then setting a personal goal for themselves, but then as a building or a department, they would set a goal for for the bigger group as well. So that was our fall module. So.
Questions for
Yeah.
Yeah. So with it, what kind of discipline data did you look at?
We looked at the PBIS data, and it's also the same data that they pull for their school improvement plans and share with us. So, but yeah, we pulled the PBIS data and we looked at, and we can break that down into different subgroups and different behaviors and times.
So it's like all of it, it's
Yeah.
not just the big ones?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure.
Oh.
And then so when they did pull down into the buildings and into the classrooms, what kind of supports were provided to maybe some of the struggling areas? Or is that something that you'll go into a little bit more? Like if some buildings are having more of an issue?
And we kind of we asked the buildings to talk about that, because they know their environment more. And we tried to bring it back to the learning that we've done in the modules. So do you see yourself, identifying certain behaviors? Do you lower expectations for certain students? Do you allow behaviors in your classroom that you wouldn't allow for someone else? So those were the types of questions that we asked. That wasn't the only question, but there was a set of questions that we just said, here's some talking points, so you don't have to come up with those on your own. And then ask them to really just kind of do a deep dive internally on, well, what does my culture and climate look like in my classroom?
It's hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard to
It's
look
hard.
So some
yeah.
of the buildings in very different places, as you can imagine, right? 30 different buildings, 30 different cultures, right? And buildings. So some of the work that they are doing at the individual building level is high school and middle school, looking at why try groups to address certain, so kiddos have been suspended for fighting. Okay, what supports are we providing for them when they come back, so they don't feel like that's their only option? And so doing some of that small group work, drug awareness as well, that's really kind of focusing on those small groups to provide those skill sets, as well as at the elementary level, providing next steps is this SEL curriculum that provides emotional support for kiddos that maybe struggle with that. So those are some of the supports that are there. We have other buildings that are looking at doing book studies.
Oh, I meant for the actual educators and
No,
the
no,
staff
that's
members.
part of it too. So providing those layers within all of that.
Yeah, I
That's a
understand.
part of
Looking
that.
at the kids too.
Right. So there's a part of PD that goes with that as well.
So, I'll let you. Okay, so this is really good information, Dr. Boatwright, and I'm just so proud that I was proud when you shared this first anyway, so just good to hear the results of kind of where we're going with this. So let's just say there is a glaring red issue at one school, and, you know, they communicate, we're working through this, these are our action items, how is that trackable, how is that, you know, how are people or policies, procedures held accountable, and where does change happen if it's not working? Do we let the building level facilitate that, or is that?
It's twofold. It's
Okay.
part of the conversation, and we have had buildings where we have brought in the KCRPDC, which is the Kansas City Regional Professional Development Center, that they will come in and do kind of an on-site analysis with the principal, with their leadership teams, and say, here's what we're seeing, right? Kids don't know the clear and consistent expectations. Well, that's step one, right? That's the foundation. And so they provide feedback. So yes, there are layers that we can build in and have built in.
So there's an outsourced entity that just comes, that's really good, I did not know that,
Yeah.
that's really good.
PBIS, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. This can be super complicated at the high school level because, sometimes you're in your own silo and you can get a completely different viewpoint from an educator in a certain department that, you know, has completely different. For example, for me, I teach French and sometimes never see some of those students that other subjects do see. And so that's where I'm like, that is a difficult topic to really cover and make sure that you're making change where you wanna make change. And, you know, where somebody else that teaches a core subject that literally sees like every kid in the room has a very different daily experience than I would. So that's where those are excellent questions. I think that do cover that, but also I feel like sometimes our community changes and we can't quite keep up with it. And so, those resources that we have in place today.
Can you say that again?
KCRPDC, Kansas City, sorry, another educational acronym.
Regional.
Professional Development Center.
Sweet, cool.
Also, our PBIS also has supports,
Mhm.
through the state as well, but we've had good luck as well.
So then our winter module, so our guiding question was, how does the environment contribute to the culture and climate of the building and achieving culture proficiency? Remember, we did this very macro look, and we're starting to get into a micro look as we moved along the year. We evaluated the culture climate survey, another acronym, sorry, I should have said that. The culture climate survey data and building level discipline data. So remember, the culture climate survey is the one that we take annually, put out by the zoo. And when we get those results back, sharing them with the building. So not just what have we gathered internally, but what else have we gathered that also contributes or can either reinforce or give us a different perspective. We did self-evaluations again of those classroom practices I just talked about, and then had them set goals and reminders for the school year. But this was kind of the guiding question that led the winter module, continuing to build upon the first module and the work that they'd already, and the foundation they'd already laid. So fall module got into district data, winter module got into building data. So now they have data from first semester to compare to the district data, so they can do a comparison across the board there. So, yeah. So then in the spring, so we talk about, you know, how active and passive learning impacts the learning and in turn impacts behaviors. So again, going back to some of that fixed mindset, that growth mindset, do I believe that all kids can learn? Do I truly believe that? And so when we get into that spring, what are the behaviors in your classroom that tell you that you truly do have that mindset when we're looking at that? So when we talk about the active learning and being culturally responsiveness, it is fostering students' voice, it's participation, it's critical thinking, it's collaboration, those types of things that we want to see in the classroom. It's shifting classrooms from teacher-centered to student-centered. Again, it goes back to engagement. If you're engaging kids, you're going to see less behaviors because kids are engaged in what's happening. And so we want to restructure and refocus. And we ask them to do a self-reflection on passive environment. Do you have a passive learning environment, which often leads to that disengagement? Again, it's hard work because you're having to criticize yourself internally. We're not asking you to share, you know, with each other, but are you doing a deep dive and being honest with yourself? And one of the things we've kind of adopted is it's 1% better every day. Am I getting better every day and moving towards that? And we're not asking for perfection, but we are asking for progress in that sense. So the staff, we ask them to prompt, one of the prompts on how learning environments affect student behavior, especially for your struggling students. So what are you doing in your own classroom that supports those struggling students who also may then have behaviors because they're doing avoidant behavior, they're struggling with academics. And so we go back to thinking about growth mindset versus fixed mindset. We go back to what's happening in the brain. Did that student have a bad experience with something that then causes them to react that way? Again, building upon the learning that we've already had for the last 5 years. And then we ask them to look at that percent of their classroom that actively embraces the student learning and then have that power of active process. So that was the spring module, again, building upon what they've done each time. So we gave this past year a district culture proficiency survey. So I want to share those results with you. I think it's important, again, the culture proficiency team talked about how do we ensure that we're making progress and how do we measure that. And so we gave a survey, certified and classified staff. This was not just to classroom teachers, because again, this work is across the board. And I know it might be hard to see, so I'll let you know. The circle up at the upper left-hand corner just tells you how many of our staff took the survey. So it's 808 responses. And again, classified and certified. So you can kind of see the breakdown. If it's blue, they've been in the district less than a year. Excuse me, if it's red, they've been in the district 1 to 5 years. Orange is 6 to 10, and then green is 11 plus years that they've been with us. On the
total certified and classified employees do we have?
Just over 2,000.
So it's about a third.
On the right-hand side, that just kind of tells you the percent of classified versus certified who responded to the survey, which I think is important. And then the bottom one, we just wanted to capture like what's the level that you support, and we have a few who support both levels depending on the role.
For example, would they look at para or?
It could be an SLP, speech language pathologist, could support.
Could be a trained bus driver.
Yeah.
Bus driver who's right.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
So keeping that in mind, these are the questions, and this was a 4-point scale. Again, it's strongly disagree, agree. No, I'm sorry, strongly disagree, agree, strongly agree.
Okay.
So I personally feel invested in improving my culture proficiency. We had 95.6% of them say that yes, they felt that was
So
the
did
case.
the cultural proficiency team develop these questions? Who developed
Yes.
these? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Based upon the work that we've done and the questions we've been asking in the modules, because we want to make sure that we were going back to the modules and the things that they've been asked. Is the next one? A little bit lower, but it's a more challenging thing to do, right? But I still think
Kind of goes
that,
back to our morning conversation
Yeah,
a
for
little bit,
sure.
right? Are we comfortable having?
And I can totally understand why.
Yeah.
but I think if 90.7% of
That's
our staff
impressive.
feel that they
That's
can do
impressive,
that,
yeah.
that's pretty good.
How would you put it?
And this goes a little deeper, so each question gets a little, I think you go from that macro where it's more surface and how we're doing down to it's now impacting me and what I'm seeing.
Well, and I think that kind of goes back to Dr. Baird, your question, the strategies.
And it's also self-reporting.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna say that I'm cultural proficient, but those around me might not. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
everybody would be
Yeah.
more comfortable saying
Yeah.
that.
And I can see that
Yeah.
side, but I can also see like the value in like a couple of slides ago, there was like 6 people that said, nope, I don't contribute to this
Yeah.
positive. I'm like, holy
You're
cow.
on
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, but, geez. I see leadership. This is, okay.
So, that is the survey that we gave this past year. I'll talk a little bit about, this will be given again, and using the same questions. And there'll be an opportunity for so again, this was very broad, this is district-wide. We're gonna ask buildings to now take the exact same survey and give it to your staff, all of your staff, both certified and classified. How does your building rate in this area? Because that could be very different, might be higher, might be lower. We didn't ask that because we wanted to have a district perspective on that. We didn't ask that question because we wanted to maintain anonymity as much as we could by not asking what building you belong to. Otherwise, go ahead.
When was the survey done?
It was given in March, I believe. So, yeah,
Are you thinking also do it in spring this year?
most likely, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
So, okay. So, and something else to think about, so I went through and I have been looking at the culture climate survey, and I tried to identify some of the questions what maybe could align with the types of questions that we asked on the culture proficiency survey. So remember, this survey is given by MU, and so I pulled out students and staff. You can see 3 years worth of data. And on the student one, they're a 4-point scale, with the exception of, I believe that first question was on a 3-point scale.
The younger students only have a
Yeah.
3-point scale
Yeah.
versus your older students have 4.
But how many like participants are we talking? You know what I mean? Like, that's impressive numbers, but I mean, like, how many people participate?
I'd have to go back and pull it.
I don't necessarily
Yeah.
want it. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking like,
So we asked buildings to, again, carve out time, carve out time for students to take it, and have them pull it up on their computers, those types of things. So because I can't see the percent of, I can't see it immediately to say, hey, you haven't taken it, or I need you to take it, because it's pushed out from MU, I only find out when the results come back.
We have a better response from students because it's in school time.
Yeah.
That we let them do that, and then parents, it's when they go there, email and check it. So I feel like we get a better student response sometimes.
And we do get a better staff response for that same reason, because they build it into, staff meeting or a PE day. Again, the parent one is a little tougher. I will say the response from parents is a lot lower than. Yeah.
Question, so school leadership addresses differences in achievement between student groups. In 2022, is it possible to just guesstimate that 2 200 people participating in the survey? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I wouldn't wanna go that low because that's.
Right, I don't-
you know, I just don't know,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's just really impactful I mean, obviously we are in, well, okay, that one's maybe not the best one, but we did improve finally in 24. But I wanna see like, how respectable are those numbers considering how many people are participating?
I will say, we learned a lot from the first time the survey went out, and we have had more participation over the years.
Mhm.
As to what percentage, I'd have to go back and look at it, to be able to tell you, did we have a 10% increase, did we have a 5% increase, and things.
Is there a reason that 2023 wasn't asked?
So it's school year, so it would be fall, it's 22-23 school year, 23-24 school year, 24-25 school year, so it's asked once a
Okay,
year.
so is that I see fall 2022, spring 2024, fall 2024.
Yeah. So the
So-
fall 2022 is the 22-23 school year.
Okay.
It's when Mizzou decided, so
Okay,
one year
so it can
they,
be spring, fall,
Yes.
whatever they decide,
Yeah.
and it just happened to both
Yeah.
happen
in
on
this
2024
close
calendar
together,
year.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
To
got it.
Anthony's point though, I do think it's extremely important when we see any kind of survey results, that we know how many people were asked and how many responded,
Mhm.
because, I mean, I just feel like that the validity of numbers, you can't say how valid they are if you don't know what the sample size is, and so just something to keep in mind.
Yep.
Anytime y'all do surveys, for me, personally, it almost invalidates them to
So-
not have the sample size and.
I have it.
Okay, cool.
So, hold on, now it's gonna scroll over. So, in 23-24, we had pre-K through 12 parents, we had about just under 1,000 parents participate, 968.
What parents are we referencing?
Pre-K through 12
Parents.
Yeah, the parent one is not on here right
Oh,
now.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
so
thought you
you're
wanted
good.
parents, I thought you wanted parents.
Oh,
This is
But I
staff
have-
and students.
I have students.
Yeah.
Students, and 24-25, we had 4,482 students participate. And then staff, we had, in 24-25, 673.
So that's 4,000 out of about, a student population of about 14,000.
Yeah.
And 600 staff out of the staff population of about 2,000.
This would have been certificated staff only, how much, so it's
more.
out of 1,000,
Okay.
out of about 1,000.
So that's
so
a pretty high.
600 out of 1,000?
Yes.
Oh, that is a much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
No,
Like you're
you
listening.
forget.
that's survey results.
It served two purposes, that is a good thing, and she got the
Yes,
next one,
yes,
so.
yes. So, both years, the staff survey went up, because the year before, in 23-24, we were at 491. So the participation rate increased, and then, so actually, more students than that participated, because the number I gave you was 3rd through 12th grade, was 4,482, and then the younger students that participated, were, so, about 2,000.
So total of about 6,000.
Yeah.
Thank you, appreciate that.
You're welcome. I just had to find it.
Is
And I
there,
knew we had it, I just didn't.
Yeah, no, you're
Yeah.
fine. And then the parent response rate, which we do respond, did go down in 24-25. I don't know, which is in converse to the other two groups, which is interesting.
this is certificate staff?
Yes, yes.
Do we do non-certificate staff?
This survey through MU does not.
Any reason why?
I don't know why. I don't know the answer to that one. And that's the survey that through MSIP that the state recommends.
Yes.
Otherwise, we have to outsource it and pay for it, which.
So moving into this year, this will be a transition year. So we are looking to the team, I talked about culture proficiency, so this is our transition plan. The goal of this plan is what we have there. So our goal is to ensure that it is embedded into, again, the fabric and everything that we do, and it's not just a standalone initiative. So it becomes a part of who we are. And so, how does it impact your vision as and mission at a building? How is it integrated how do you see it in daily practice every day? How are you ensuring that it's impacting and that you are practicing that?
Why
So-
do you call this a transition year?
I'm sorry,
Why do you call it a transition year?
because we're moving it from being, here's the modules, we've written them, you're going to implement them, to now you're going to establish groups in your own building, you're gonna set your own goals, you're gonna do some of those things. So we're transitioning it to buildings, principals, and department heads being in control of that more than us driving that.
And they will have to speak to that when they do their school improvement plan presentation. They'll lay out their plan, they'll talk about their progress, and then finish up at the end of the year to share how they've done with this, so that we can,
When do they share this plan?
during their school improvement plan.
But like, when is that?
Oh, good question. Very beginning of the year, we'll do that, at end of September, beginning of October, when they've had time to meet with their leadership teams to do that. They'll talk about their goals for the year, academic achievement results, things like that, and then they'll they'll update the document in the winter, and then they come back in spring to say, here are our results, here's how we did. They do
So-
their scorecard.
So those next steps, these are, and again, this is that 10,000-foot view. These are the kind of 4 steps for transitioning, like what that looks like and how you take that on. So that first one, we're asking them to establish a culture of proficiency. I say leadership team, it can be in conjunction with their leadership team. It doesn't have to be a separate, but how are you including staff, teachers, students, admin, and or parents in those conversations. Establish a timeline for meeting regularly and sharing updates. Again, it doesn't have to, we don't want it to be a separate, we want it to be a part of what you're doing, so it only makes sense to naturally include that in your building leadership, as a part of your building leadership team. And then conduct a department or building survey that aligns to the district survey. Remember, I just told you we're gonna ask them to do that at their building and district, or their department level, because then they can see how their building or department is doing in comparison to the district.
So will each building develop their own fall module, winter module, spring module, or are you wanting them to kind of look at what you did last year on a district-wide level and kind of tailor it to the building, but use the work that you've already done?
Yes. So we don't expect them to create modules. In fact, we just want it to become a part of what they do on a daily basis. So not, I'm gonna stop and teach a module over culture of proficiency, and now we're gonna transition to instructional practices. They should all be integrated together. And so how do they begin to take that and thread it into every part of what they're doing, and it's not as just a standalone activity that they do in the fall, winter, and the spring. So phase 2 is kind of just how are you establishing those goals with action steps that align to the comprehensive school improvement plan, the school improvement plan, or your department plan. So we're asking buildings and departments to establish 2 to 3 action steps that integrates into their school improvement plan, similar to what Dr. Grant just talked about, and then include a metric for measuring that success. We will ask them again to take the exact same survey with those questions that we did as a baseline for their building, but then there may, based upon their action steps, there may be other metrics that they need to use to measure what they're doing. Then kind of the third phase, and again, all of this is happening this year, it wouldn't just be 3 years out. So what's the implementation and integration? So how did you embed culture of proficiency into daily practice, whether that be through lesson planning, social emotional learning, behavior expectations, and then they can continue to use the district provided resources. Our work has been anchored in Zaretta Hammond's book, Culturally Responsive Teaching in the Brain, so they have access to that book. Oh, wish I were sitting on my, I'll go up and get them. And then the other one is Every Student, Every Day. And so I'll share just real quickly what's the difference between these two, and I have those books upstairs. So this is stuff we've already done, and we want to continue to drive them back to the work we've done and not have to do it from scratch. So these 2 texts, Zaretta Hammond's work focuses more on that cognitive science framework, like how does our brain function and why do we respond to things in a certain way, where the every student every day is more that practical application. So if you have a building or department who needs the foundational work, they can go back to Zaretta Hammond. If you have a building who we feel very comfortable and we've embraced this and understand it, we're ready for practical application, they can jump into that. So it gives them some different avenues to work forward. So then phase 4 would be just how are you monitoring and reflecting? How are you checking back in? How are you ensuring that doing those check-ins, making those 2 to 3 degree adjustments along the way? If something's not working, how are you addressing that? And so that's when we would ask them to, again, continue to look at those different metrics and practices. That is it. Where we're headed.
Any questions?
This is top of my brain because I've been seeing teachers already completing all of their vector training on Facebook, all these overachievers. Have we thought about adding like a review to that? Have there been any conversations about doing that? Just because I know it's an easy way to reach everybody because it's required. Is that included anywhere in it? I haven't pulled that.
No, but my fear, because that's a great way to reach people, it completely is. But my fear is that it becomes one of many.
I know.
In that instance, it does, and all that we have is required by law or some type of thing. But, it is a great way to, it's a catch-22, right? It's like we want it to get it out to people to ensure they're going through it, but are they truly paying attention to it? Because I will tell you, I'm looking up there, it's playing, right?
I know you're doing.
And, you know, you're doing lots of things like that, but, you know, it's something that we could do. One of the things that, because I just wrote a note to myself, okay, we have 30 and 60 day onboarding with our classified staff, which we get new staff all the time, right, throughout the year. So can we embed some of those pieces into that 30 and 60 day training, to your point, to where it's bits and pieces there versus another training, another module that they have to do. That is definitely something we can talk about. So, but yeah.
I agree with Dr. Grant. I think it's a great point, Wendy, that you make. I can tell you, we just had a meeting last Friday, and with Senate Bill 68, Lori Halsey's telling us about all this. So now we have to, for example, our office has looked at that, do CPR training with every staff member. And you know how extensive that is. So our workaround, for lack of a better term, is there's a couple of trainings that she's very impressed with. Let's make it a safe school so we can comply with the new law. But there's another 40 minutes safe training. And you guys, when you get out and talk to staff, one of their big, especially this time of year, that they complain about is going through these things. So I'm like Dr. Grant, I see the power of this, and maybe we can carve out 10 minutes to do something so we can, they know, our staff knows how important this is, but it's such a fine line. Are we gonna?
I know, and I would advocate for paying our people to do these, but that's a whole other discussion that maybe we can talk about because that is their time. But I do see the value in doing some kind of refresher course that's district-wide, just to make sure, because some buildings may do a deeper dive than other buildings, and we might not know that until the survey results come out. And that's something that at least we know everybody has a baseline, and that baseline continues to be there, so.
And I'll make a plug again for Dr. Boatwright and this team, this core team. So I work, of course, with all of a lot of the directors in the district. And so bus drivers, nutrition service employees, they're not necessarily the folks that are working, I mean, they work with students, yes, but in a different way. So when we came to them the first time, this was a couple of years ago, about cultural proficiency with bus drivers. I mean, you guys kind of see, I mean, that Daryl, when Pam's telling Daryl that you're gonna have to do this, his eyes were this big. I mean, he just was, but bless her heart and her team's heart, they came back, they met with us frequently, and to the point where now we feel pretty comfortable that he and several of others will be able to launch and go forward and work within the departments, and I think there's power in that as well, because certainly those people were interacting with our kiddos.
They're part of the village.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh my goodness.
they're part of the village,
Well,
man.
it's like sometimes that bus driver is what makes a difference in that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yes.
They will they see your kids. I had a bus
It's
driver
great.
that, yes, she saw when my kid wasn't there
Yep.
for a while and it meant the world. You talked about all the modules, 1 through 10 now. Is it possible for us as a group to see those? I know we won't get this full value because I'm sure that there's teaching involved versus just the learn too. I would be interested to see what's being said and
Yeah,
taught,
me
and I mean,
too.
those are hard conversations, no matter what.
Seeing the details would be really good.
Yeah,
Just throw out there that I'm really pleased to see the emphasis on this area over the last 5 or 6 years. It started off as just kind of this idea thing, and I can really see it getting feet and really having, you know, specific points and not just this nebulous idea, and I think just kudos to you guys for focusing on that. I appreciate that a lot.
and along Denise's point too, I know last year we had talked about making this a public presentation, and then that kind of got lost, and there was a misunderstanding of whether, yes, we had approved to do it for, one of our regular scheduled meetings. I know that we're being recorded, and so that will be available. However, with us not mic'd, I'm not sure that we'll be able to hear everything that you said, especially because you were facing this way instead of toward the camera. Is it possible, can we do another presentation at a public board meeting, just so other folks who might be interested in what we're doing and the wonderful ways that we are trying to do better as a district? Can we do that at a work session or at a regular scheduled meeting? This is something I'm gonna just say that the agendas for the work session, we got a whole lot of, like, we wanna do it, but there just isn't time. I'm not saying we have to do it in August or September, but last year it didn't happen, and I would like to see it happen, because I think there's benefit to brag on ourselves a little bit. This is hard, important work, and we're doing it. Let's talk about it.
And I think there's a significant community interest in the fact that we are doing it. And so it's one of those cases where we can say, we're listening, we are working on this, and I think it would be great. I was one of the ones that was asking last year, when are we gonna do this? And then, you know, heard that we didn't really agree on that, I thought we did, but,
If you don't mind, I'd like to finish what I was saying. I think it would be appropriate for us to create opportunities for our community to get information like this. So that could be something that we can do, like community conversations, like we have some sort of, like, here's a night where we're gonna have this be something that we're here to talk about. So I do think it is possible for us to do that. I just don't know that a work session and presentation is the only avenue for us getting information out to our community.
I mean, I hear you, and I appreciate that feedback. Do others have additional thoughts? Like, because if we have a consensus one way or the other, then we can go that direction and put it in as something.
Well, I do know that we're gonna have a conversation here in a minute about community engagement opportunities, and maybe that's where someone can plug that into where we want to see that happen. We wanna loop back around to that.
And I would be, like, if that's something that we do want to, I just want us to have a public face about this, because I don't think that this counts as a public face. I do love that this is being recorded so folks can hear us, but like I said, I don't think anybody's gonna be able to hear what Dr. Boatwright said, and she said quite a bit, and I appreciate all of the time and effort and energy put into all of this. But yeah, if it is, I guess I will table my request until the community engagement discussion, because maybe that's something that we agree to do, a 10-minute presentation with the community cafe afterwards, that will also be
Right, I'm glad we are gonna talk about community engagement, just because I feel like we can do a multiple phase progression type setup. I do worry that if we put this on one of those, that there would be a lot of people that didn't realize what we were doing. So we would get some feedback of, it's unfortunate we're not trying to work on this just because of a lack of knowledge. So maybe if we had it on an agenda and just a presentation, maybe that would help.
Yeah, it might just be the 10 minutes.
Right.
It might not, we won't have as many questions the next time. So I would think that is that as well.
Are we saying we want community engagement in the discussion, or that we want them to simply be presented with the same presentation?
My original ask was just to have a presentation at a public board meeting, at a regular scheduled board meeting. Because my understanding was that was gonna happen last year, and there was some stuff lost in the mix, and it didn't. Some confusion over whether that was actually decided or not.
And so I'm understanding that we might not have time to place it on the community agenda.
I mean, I yes, let's do this, but let's try to think about the possibility of alternative ways that we can get these things taken care of.
I'm trying to meet you where you are, and I'm struggling. I guess and maybe I don't understand your ask, and that could be, what I'm hearing you say is, for this presentation to be presented in an open session, and, I mean, we haven't had public speaking, I don't know, for the past couple of meetings. I mean, if that happens, we have to give that time. I feel like this is a reasonable and worthy presentation to be given. I think we can make the time to make it happen, especially now where this is probably a common topic or a more popular topic. I think that the community really needs to see us engaging in such a way and showing our work. So I just don't, I struggle with seeing us being so strapped for time that we can't do it next weekend, honestly.
And that's what I was saying, if we have a consensus to yes, move forward, and people agree that it's worth 10 minutes of a board meeting and the possible 10 minutes or whatever it is of folks talking about it, because that's something else, if people want to come and talk about it, yes, they would be allowed to request it because it's on the agenda. Then we can move that way. If there's not a consensus, then we can scrap it and talk about it later.
Something we can put on our website, summary of presentation website on what's happening. There's more people,
We could work
I
on
don't know
that.
how many people view the website, but not that many people come to the meeting or watch the meeting. I really don't think that many people watch it. But if we had it on the website, they could view it anytime, and wanted to see it on the TV at a certain time. That might be a way to help on that also.
So where I'm coming from is, we as a board are, when we go to a board meeting, we are there to get some work done. And we just heard, as a board, a presentation to us about this cultural proficiency plan that we have in our district. So for us to have this presented in another meeting, to me, it feels like, oh, we just did that. So is it appropriate for us to have this be presented to us in another meeting? Like, I just feel like it would be appropriate for us to allow this to be presented, to make sure that we're presenting this information to our public, to our people. But in a board meeting, I feel like that isn't necessarily where our audience is. Like, yes, people from the public are there, people are watching it, but they can watch that video too. So like, that's one thing that I just want to be very conscientious of, honoring the work that we do in our meetings. And so that is why I am saying what I am saying. But I do think we have avenues to make sure that this information is being presented to our public.
I'm open to how it happens. I know that last time we had this discussion, we did spend some time talking about, where our audience is and what places, to your point, of like where we can put certain information. And I felt like there was a strong consensus that more communication would be good for us. So not just on the website, but also actively engaging. I think this is really impressive information, especially when you read into the specific questions that Dr. Robright and her team had asked. And do I feel leadership is intentional with these efforts? And I think this is another way to prove that not only is building leadership or district leadership, but the board is also interested in learning this information. It's not a checkbox for me, it's more so wherever we have a chance to demonstrate what we are doing it's gonna be to our best benefit. So I don't mean to keep referencing 10 minutes, Dr. Boatwright, because I didn't time you. I was truly enjoying what you were sharing, but I would really, really appreciate having an opportunity that this be shared in an open session.
So is it something that we can work, Dr. Boatwright can work with Megan to get something on the website to share the work that's being done, but then to look at the calendar to do potentially a work session later on, because there are a lot of things coming up that you're not, to your point, we're not gonna have time in a work session, because you've got a lot of work to do in those sessions. But after to get that on the calendar, is that something then that would potentially be what we're talking about?
I wanna give you space before I say anything, because I know that you asked about
I
this
am
first.
open, and I even said it doesn't have to be, like, I know that we're gonna be booked until like January, so like even if it's something that we pencil in for early spring, like I'm open to that, but I think it's important that we show the community that we are working on this and that this is something that's important to us.
What if we also had like an update of,
Yeah.
these are how the buildings are working it in for part of this year's, you know, like, so we're halfway through the year and this is, so that way we have updated information and we have some maybe examples of what the building goals have, or what action items they've taken, that kind of thing. So it's just a little bit more of a spin off of the one, it's not the same presentation, but yeah, and then it's later in the year.
I like your idea. I would also like to ask, would it be okay to also, like, in conjunction with our website, can we share it to our Facebook page?
Once it's created.
Yeah.
I would say, just my own personal opinion is, I feel like that with the work sessions, we have a lot coming up, and to me, a work session, you have a presentation, but there's work that needs to be done as part of that presentation. For me, this is more of an information thing, and personally, just me personally, I would love to see a short recap, 5 to 10 minutes, in an open session that says you can find out more information at the website at this. I just feel like, that there are a lot of people that either come to the meeting or watch the video, and that is an opportunity to get that message out. So that's just my own personal opinion.
Right, I think that'd be great.
Perfect.
Or you just turn it over.
Yeah, I think we need a presentation.
But it doesn't have to be,
More than
not like this,
report.
that
Yeah.
detail, just like 5 to 10
Yeah, it
minutes, like more information about what we're doing, please visit the website.
My goal was to give less work to
Sure, the elevator speech.
Yeah.
I can kind of, I
Just
think back
trim
to
it.
last year's presentation, which was brand new, right? So you add context to this one, and then
Yes,
we're,
that would be.
that would be more about condensing that in the first introduction.
Yeah, and like next steps for this
Yeah.
year. Yeah.
I'm happy to do it wherever you support decide. I can include that in my superintendent's report, a 5-minute, 10-minute presentation. I can ask Dr. Boatright to speak to that and just say, here's where you can find that information. Now, what I would say is that, I would respectfully ask for a few months to get the year up and running so that we can get everything on the website and those types of things. So, if we can commit to bringing that to you and getting that a part of one of my superintendent's reports, how would that?
So here you say, please, not August.
I would.
Or September.
I would respectfully ask that it be its own item on the agenda, just so folks know that we're speaking on it. Because if it's in the superintendent's report, folks might not realize that that's what you're talking about.
So I heard 2 questions, and I just wanna make sure I'm on track. You're just asking for it to be its own
Its
item,
own agenda item.
but I'm looking for when, so maybe not August or September.
Oh, yeah, and that's fine,
October?
timing is fine.
October.
Yeah. Communications timing is not too bad to do.
I like that, that's not too much for you. The reason why I like it as its own is because that way people do have the opportunity to speak to it if they want to. And I just want people to know that we are willing to listen, even to the hard conversations. The only downside is that they speak to it before they hear it. And that's kind
So
of.
it's a struggle. But maybe it can be posted before then.
If it's put together and all that.
Yeah, before the actual meeting, and it could even be, I don't know how that would work with the agenda, but like posted with the agenda, see more detail.
I just don't wanna put too much pressure on you, so there's a lot to get done this fall, there's gonna be a big, between, it's gonna be a lot. Superintendent search, 4-day school week, is October realistic?
Honestly, I don't know right now.
I mean, that's
Well,
fair.
October with room to extend if needed.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't even know about October yet, but yeah, we can definitely look at something. I'm happy to work with President Dixon to work through that.
And I would feel more comfortable if we left today with a solid understanding as to when this is gonna happen. Just because it has been a year and more. And with due respect to everyone's schedule, we are all busy, we recognize recognize that we have a very tight schedule, busy year ahead. But if we could prioritize this, I think it would probably benefit us more, honestly, to get this done as soon as we can, realistically. Is October really that hard to see right now? Like, I do not mean to minimize anybody's schedule. I'm just asking for clarity, because I feel like we're leaning toward now. We'll have another discussion and then plan from there.
I would ask for October or November, potentially.
We have a consensus, and it's in the minutes that we're all on the same page.
So November is cool. It's holiday season. I'm just trying to listen, okay?
We're all thinking turkey.
Whatever, things to consider. So if November it is, I'm good with November. It's fine.
And it can always be adjusted if need be, but, oh my goodness, we have to do these interviews or something else. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Lopez.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, it's 2:00. So, we take a break. I can go to the restroom. So, we can take a quick break. How about 10 after?
Anthony, I'm just gonna say this. You are not very far in your walk.
Hey.
Are you guys competing?
No, it's just he brought that big old thing.
Oh, I thought you said walk.
Look where he's at.
I am trying. I'm trying.
Hit it.
I'm
What was that? Little-
Hey, I broke my tooth this eating.
Today?
Yes, eating the, here's the funny thing, it's always something new, right? So I'm chopping, using my fork and my knife to chop the cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
And I go to bite down on the cinnamon roll and I bite the fork and broke my tooth. So I'm having some hesitancy with getting it too cold or anything, but Jill was like, it's usually no pain when it's that low, and that's serving true right now. I just don't want to get surprised with the, oh, you know, so. Got oxtails at home. Do you eat oxtails?
I see your house.
Oxtails.
Oh, no, I think you're at house.
Oh my gosh.
Is it like,
They're wonderful, yes. Absolutely.
is it like a steak?
It's just the tail of the ox.
Sounds gross to me, sorry.
How do you cook it? Like,
I cook it in the crock pot.
okay.
First, I sear the meat, butter and olive oil, nice seasoned and all that fun stuff. And,
Ah,
then I make a gravy, put it in the crock pot, add beef broth, and let it cook for hours. I mean, I turn it on, forget about it.
it's almost a brisket.
It's wonderful.
So is it in like small chunks or shredded or is
So
it one big piece of meat or?
it's, I hate to get
Tail.
very specific, but it's the tail,
Yeah,
right? It's chopped in blocks.
okay.
So you've got blocks all the way down to the tip of the tail. Put all the chopped blocks in the crock pot.
You serve it with something like?
Yep, I've got butter beans in the crock pot with it, and then you serve it on a bed of rice with maybe cornbread or something.
I'm just not buying it.
It's so, I can show you a photo of it.
I
It's,
believe you, it just,
it's
for some
really
reason,
good.
it doesn't sound appealing to me.
I know.
But I'm really bad about liking, like fat in meat, and I don't think there's a lot of fat in it, you know.
Well, there is.
There is.
There is.
Well, then maybe I would like it.
Oh, you do like
I do
it?
like that.
I thought you did it. Okay, hold on now.
I mean, that's where the, for me, that's where the
There is
flavor is.
Actually, you're right. Now, this is what my son did. Okay, so here's the, here's my pre-photo to let people know this is what I'm about to be cooking. I have no idea what my son's filming this. I have no idea what he's filming. Oh my gosh, I just got so nervous. And I don't know, I could have been in my underwear, so I'm so sorry if you see. But anyway, you put it on the top of the stove, right, and you just put the olive oil, flavor it, season it. See, there's it. You just kind of. There is. I mean, it's a nice. Man, I don't have good signal in your ear, which is weird because it's on my phone.
I never have good luck.
Oh, there's a good one. Here you go. So you just take it and flip the meat.
I mean, to me, it looks like it's really good after you do a lot of slather it or kiss.
It's so
Do you
good.
like these things?
No,
Do the kids like these?
they probably do. I try not to get them sugar, but
I just
don't like that. Okay. So there, I've got 2 crock pots. I've got the flavoring, the seasoning. I put the beef broth in there, cook it up a little bit, pour it on top of both of them. And it's just a cooking and a cooking.
Yeah.
Cooking and a cooking.
Low and slow.
Yeah, so we'll be out here in less than an hour.
What do you think? We got 2 more things left here.
So,
We got 2 more things?
2 more things. Community engagement and staff recognition.
oh yeah, that's right. Oh,
We're supposed to get that.
oh, are we?
For some warm chocolate chip cookies.
94 is what it's.
So I saw 3.
Oh, I thought it was 3.
I had 3.
I don't know where you got 4 from, Denise.
Denise, stop trying to.
I know, and I don't usually question Denise. I'm like, hey, hold on.
But you know, I have time to all this, I told my mom I go to 12:30 today. Didn't realize it until she texted me. I was late to the mom.
Oh.
I was like, oh, shit, sorry.
Well, posted.
It was supposed to be a donation.
I remember cutting checks from every single one of my locations. Oh, I don't know about Ken. But from Cindy, from CRM, I cut checks from every location.
Right, okay, so we did get hers, but I don't know.
I don't want to.
I thought you did. Okay, cool. Cool. Well, I'll just follow up with her.
Yeah.
Let's see. I was like, I don't think so.
I don't know what he committed to.
Well, she committed
No,
to it.
really? Sitting on my phone with the camera. Hopefully they edit it like all
We'll do
the
the
way.
same. I kinda don't wanna ask anymore, but I also feel like people are busy, and it's not that people aren't wanting you off or change their mind, it's just people are busy.
Sometimes, especially those two, they do get very busy.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Dr. Grant, how much longer are we gonna be here?
We're done at 3.
Okay, listen.
That's what it's posted, we're done at 3.
Listen.
But I was on what
Denise is talking about
conversation you
4.
have. I thought
You
3.
hear that? She said 4.
3.
I don't know what email she was looking
Denise
at.
was
3
trying
is
to
what
keep us
I
later.
sent out to you all,
Uh-huh.
so that's what I sent out to you all, so I just,
Do you feel, I mean, yeah, I figured so.
I would think so.
Let's go.
I didn't know how long those last 2 things were.
well, I have 30 minutes for each, but
Okay.
if,
Oh, right on.
depends on you all, how's that?
I mean, I'm fine with an extra 10 minutes or whatever.
Whatever you guys decide.
I don't think we need for that CP.
I got oxtails on the crock pot.
Or
Okay.
is it just plain oxtails? Like, how do you make oxtails? Because I've only heard of it in like Spanish soups.
Why do I feel like y'all know
Just
about
had
the
this-
garnishment, but no one knows about oxtails? This
I
is
mean,
so
I
funny.
didn't know about
That's not
oxtails.
Talk about cultural
And then
proficiency.
came when I ordered my beef, and I was like, what do I do with this?
Oxtail, so basically it's the tail of the ox, obviously, right? So
It's not like,
You
we're
take-
just lots of ox, we're not trying to eat it.
Or
you
the tongue.
You take the hair off and you chop it up in
Yeah, I
blocks.
know.
And you throw it in the crock pot, you sear it.
Yeah.
Sear it first, put it in the crock pot, put your seasonings and gravy and stuff in there and let it go.
And it just.
So is it like a
And then,
roast?
but it then like becomes like a stew, because it all falls off the bone,
It
right?
depends on how long you cook it. It really depends on how long you cook it. In
And
fact,
that's what you're worried about.
Text my wife to turn the crock pot off, because I don't want stew. It's really good. I mean, it's not healthy, it's got lots of fat and all that stuff. But you get you a bed of rice, some of that soup, with beans,
Today's a good day for, although it's not.
What kind of beans do you put in there?
butter beans,
Did it stop?
butter
I
beans.
watched
that.
No, I watched those it's on cloud, so.
No,
Cause when I got oxtail and tongue, my friend, the Spanish teacher, took them, cause I was like, I don't know how to cook these.
no, I don't eat the tongue. I don't eat pig's feet, pig
My
ears,
Spanish tutor,
pig
my tutor was like,
tails,
Randy,
No.
tongue is really good, and I was like, I'll take your word for it.
pig, cow tongue.
I had Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This was like $1,000 a month, not being my name, but,
Goose,
well, the whole thing, that was only part of it. yeah.
But do you like liver? Cause it does have a liver taste, I think. So,
have you had that?
for a long time I didn't like it, yes. I like duck, but I did not like foie gras, but now I do. It's one of those, like, I'm just one of those people that I'm always like, if you serve it to me, I will eat it. And it may not.
And I may not eat it again.
Right,
Generalings, menudo,
Same.
no.
but you know, those French teachers don't even come with the students, they're always like, oh, we're gonna have foie gras, and I'm like,
I screwed it over.
Have you had generalings before?
no.
No?
Are they good?
I think it's time for some chocolate.
No?
I don't like them. I tried. No.
If we are ready.
Ugh.
That. Next up, we had kind of conversations regarding community engagement. I did want to take just a moment to share with you within my 30-day plan. Part of it was establishing trust and visibility and laying the groundwork for new collaborative relationships. And then planning for the 4-day vote and bond campaign were my first objectives within that first 30 days. So that started within the first couple of weeks with this position. I've had about 20 individual meetings, not including the individual meetings with all of you. I met with each of the association presidents, INEA, IDEA, IDSP, and MSTA. Met with chamber president, executive director of Drum Farm, both city managers, both mayors. City council members, board city council members, Jarvis Suchman, director of business retention and expansion. We've had conversations, Representative Aaron Crosley, State Senator Joe Nicola, had a group of parents from Truman reach out to me, so I had great conversations with them about their thoughts, and that was very enlightening. Former Superintendent Dr. Rock, I have upcoming meetings with Ken McLean, Barb Allender, Jennifer Malanuea, so those are upcoming. I have a conversation meeting with our area representative for the State Board of Education, John Otto. He was just recently appointed to the state board by our Governor Kehoe. So he and I are having a conversation, I believe, Friday. Is that correct? Yes.
Yes,
This
it is.
Friday.
Actually,
afternoon.
Thursday.
Thursday, gotcha.
I think.
It's there, it's this week, I'm having a conversation, and so we're gonna meet. I'm looking forward to that. So those are some of the upcoming events that are happening. Attended the chamber picnic. I will be participating in the Fashion for Compassion as a model. So, Black Lemon, August 9th.
Are you-
Black Lemon is who is dressing me, which I love her work.
Yay.
So cool.
Several of her items, so I'm pretty excited about that. Being within there. Some of the other items that we're working on, presented to Kiwanis. And when I'm presenting, I'm kind of giving the state of the district related to our school improvement plan, our CSIP and our progress there. But I'm also weaving in the 4-day research, well, not research, but our impact. So I talk about our retention rates before and after. I am also talking about the years of experience that I will call them our freshman class, our incoming class has. So in 21-22, average years of experience for a teacher was 4.4 years. This past year, we're up to 8.5 years. So making a big difference there. Weaving in some of those opportunities there to get that information out when I am presenting. When I present, I can talk about our statistics and things like that. I can't campaign, which you all know. So I'm just sharing the information. I will be including that in the state of the district on August 20th. So that's kind of the step that we'll take. I will be meeting with the Young Matrons. Have lots of different groups reach out to me and want to have conversations, so I'm pretty excited about that. And I will be sharing that same information. Okay. I'll be working to get in front of our booster clubs to share that information, as well as other groups. So I will keep you posted with that as to how we do that. I am planning on inviting the examiner and the Beacon to convocation to share our story and our presentation, just to have that out there. I want to get that out there and show our public what we're all about. that out there, Megan's working on that. Spent a lot of time out at, IAT registration, so that's going really well. And that's kind of, working on the dashboard. Talked a little bit about that, to share information regarding our CSIP. That will, I know Megan has a lot going on right now, and so I know that's coming. We have developed just building dashboards for principals to collect their data, updating just to make their lives easier. So those are some of the things that we're working on. Those are not outward facing, those are internal with that. So that's kind of where we are with getting out there in the community. I think we talked a little bit about, did you, Carrie, did you want to talk about the thoughts for the cafe events? Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I think we had our first successful World Cafe event that was hosted by the board. I think we have a goal to do 2 of those this year, to move it up a little bit. We obviously are kind of modeling that from other school districts who've done it, but also like that World Cafe specific kind of event. So we'll work with Megan on that. I don't know that, I think that it's, that, like Lisa had said, that you really want to hone in your topic and keep it very specific so that you get good communication about what you're discussing. And so I don't know that I don't think it's a topic that's been discussed or even like,
Yeah. So we talked about one in the fall and one in the spring. I think that that's doable with everything else we have on our plate. Thinking through that 4-day vote, then looking towards potential bond, and a lot of other things going on, I think 2 would be manageable. So one of the things that I was able to do, Megan did this for me. She pulled together the main topics that came from that first World Cafe event, kind of the overarching things. So, and that was taken from all of the comments that were listed. We had a running document of all the comments. And so we went through as a cabinet and identified, okay, we're working to address this, here's how we're doing this, we're already doing this. And so we kind of had that going, what the work that we would be doing. And so that was very helpful for us. So the main topics that came from that, and this isn't positive or negative, it was just that they were there, right? We have, and it's in no particular order whatsoever. We had communication and engagement, staff support and staff wellness, student support and wellness, instruction and programs, equity and access, community connection, and facilities and innovation. Those were the 7 overarching themes that came out of all of that, based upon that information. So, thinking through that, if we could, if you wanted to identify one of those areas to, as President Dixon said, hone in on, that's kind of where we could do, if we wanted to do one of those topics in the fall, one in the spring, something like that, to guide that. So that's kind of what I had down, if you all want to have that discussion, where we wanted to go from there.
I'm really glad, oh, go ahead. I was just saying, I'm really glad that the, cabinet has really, spent a lot of time looking at those items. And what are we doing, what can we do? I would love to see that information get pushed out. I'm thinking like maybe in the Insider, maybe,
What information?
what the
These
district
seven
has
topics.
looked at. Pardon?
These 7 topics you just went,
Yeah, well, I was thinking
that's
more,
7, I'm sorry, yeah.
I was thinking more of what the items that the ISD is doing and what they are looking at possibly doing. That was the piece I felt like that was missing out of the community engagement, is that we listened, but I never felt like there was really a response as far as, we're gonna try to do this or that or whatever. And I know we can't do everything, and I know that not everybody agreed on everything that they wanted, but I just feel like it would be nice to get the information out of what things, are already in place, because sometimes people, it's like, I think Anthony mentioned this, sometimes people don't even realize what's already being done. I would just like to see the information go out. I mean, I don't wanna make it this huge thing, that's why I'm not sure I wanna see it like in a board meeting or anything, but that's why I was thinking maybe the Insider, a way to just kind of push that information out.
I love that idea, like some sort of, these are the 7 arching themes, these are the 3 bullet points that action items that ISD is looking at, this is the timeline when we think we can, you know, like, very simple, or just a grid, like, I don't think it needs to be anything more than an infographic, but I do love that. As for a possible event, I think we have an opportunity just where we are with our superintendent search, is it possible to do something along those lines, like, what would you like to see in the new ISD superintendent?
That's-
Like, and if that was early enough, then it could help know where our community is standing as we're making those big decisions, and would give another opportunity for folks to feel like they are part of the process and an opportunity to weigh in.
That's what I was gonna say, like that's, should not assume, but I figured there would be an event and are working with the firm to do that, and so we could say, hey, can we do it in this format? And you guys help us to make that action item happen, but
And if it's not something included for whatever firm we pick or whatever, that is something that I think we could do on our own, just by asking that question and listening.
Seems like it would be very efficient though, if we could combine those.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely. Let
I mean,
them
that's
handle
already
the
gonna be a
diligence.
chunk of our time in the fall, so we work smarter, not harder.
And to kind of piggyback that, I wonder if the facilities one would work well in the spring as we're starting to get close to a possible bond election.
Like what I'm hearing, I wasn't sure, Dr. Brandon, this was just more of a discussion amongst the board that we were just kind of deliberating about what we wanted to prioritize out of the 7. That's likely not something we want to share publicly, right? Or is that important to share as well?
I think if just communicating the 7.
These are 7 things. that
Yeah,
we-
like we don't have to say that under community engagement, we want more Gold Cafes, we can just say that under community communication and engagement, these are the 3 things that we're going to do to further that mission or objective. Cause yeah, none of these are negative or positive, it's just ways that we're top of mind and working on them. And I missed one, can you read the 7 again, please? I only have 6.
Communication and engagement, staff support and wellness, student support and wellness, instruction and programs, equity and access, community connection, and facilities and innovation.
I kind of feel like after, when did we do this? Almost a year ago, right? So we would be coming back now and putting something out? Am I getting that right? Like we'd be coming back now and saying, oh, from our World Cafe, these 7 things came out of it, but we're gonna have another World Cafe, but we're gonna focus on what we want to hear about a new superintendent. Do you know what I mean? It just seems a little disconnected right now.
I think this one would be, these are the overarching themes that came out of that event. And this is how ISD leadership took it on and how they've addressed it and are, yeah, I think it shows action. It shows, like Denise was saying, it shows that we didn't just say, oh, thanks for coming, and then it went nowhere. There were conversations and there were actions and there continue to be, so I think that that's important to show. It wasn't a waste of time for everybody who went that night.
Yeah. Was it out on the website, like the graphic, it went out on the website,
Like the
right?
graphic was.
Was there any description or anything of it on there?
I think it was just a picture and a description of the.
Yeah, maybe just
if I
the,
recall correctly.
short description of the event with the graphic. That's what I remember.
I do remember having some discussion about what more we would do beyond just posting the graphic and making sure we could get it posted in other languages. So I think we successfully got it posted in Spanish. Was there any other language?
I don't recall.
I know for sure Spanish came up. So So I know we did some things, beyond that, I can't speak to them this year. So I can understand where you're, it's kind of like a surprise kind of thing, but.
And I would just say too, that I mean, the 2 to 3 things that we would do don't necessarily have to all be action items. Some of them could be, this program isn't, I mean, I don't think that they necessarily, all of the things have to be stuff that we're going to do.
Continuing cultural proficiency
Yeah,
plan.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Presentation coming
Right.
in late fall.
right,
To
yeah,
a board meeting.
right.
Yeah.
2 or 3 things on each of those 7, I think would show, like you said, active listening.
Which ones did you?
Mental health stuff that,
That was one of the things that I gained from the event, is hearing from some of our building leaders what mental health resources we have in each building that I was completely unaware of. So,
I remember you were asking, which one we wanted to lead out with. Am I hearing that we wanted to, like, focus on 3 or 1? That's why I remember you wanted to talk about that.
So, we were talking about the World Cafe, the topics that we wanted, and what I gleaned in the spring, focusing on the facilities and innovation. But you all were having conversations for the fall one regarding what that would look like.
Seems to me like that would be a good interview question for both of those, MSBA and NJ is, if we were interested in doing something like this, would you be able to incorporate it into your, because they both talk about patron involvement.
Yeah, we do.
Is this something that you'll be able to do as part of that and kind of see what their response is before we?
Well, and I know that you all are wanting it sooner rather than later in the fall, and for the district to do that, I mean, I want to get the first couple months up and running before that would happen, and so I would appreciate if, whatever you all decide, that firm would be a part of that.
I was kind of hoping that they would do it and you wouldn't have to.
I think they've been very clear that they
Even if
would.
it's an additional cost, let's outsource it and get it
Well,
done.
I know M and J, that's part of their.
That's one of their,
Yeah,
yeah.
it might be,
that's
separate,
right.
but it's not,
It's
it
like we
wouldn't
talked.
be insurmountable to add it.
Yeah, I'd like to see you not have to do another thing, but you gotta do one thing.
I can't remember how we advertised that to the public last time, but I would wish there was a way to broaden our engagement, to get other people there, rather than what's gonna happen next time. We know who they're gonna be, but I want people to voice their opinions, hear.
I think that's a good question. Also, for the 2 top finalists, how do you engage a diverse, broad group of patrons?
Could it be at a school, gymnasium, auditorium?
I do think that it would behoove us to not have it as a school office. I think that there are some people in our community that feel more comfortable going.
Do an auditorium.
Right.
But I know
You
that
won't be able to set the tables. to
Right,
stand
I
right.
still would like it to be a better space for, I mean, we could do it in a cafeteria or a gym,
Well, that's the thing.
the gym would be ideal.
a more space where we can gather in small groups.
And this would be a lot, but I would also see benefit in having 2 events or maybe just separate tables. But I think having ISD administrators and leadership at the table stifled a little bit of conversation to me. And while staff is very important, and of course we want to hear from them, maybe that is a separate event. Or maybe there's just tables of ISD staff or an administrator or something, you know what I mean? Like, I think that there's value in separating a little bit. Like, of course, we want to hear from everybody, but to have both populations together. And if I want to talk openly, I don't have anything against our school, but about my school and I'm sitting across the table from the principal, I might not be so open to share that, you know what I mean? Or whatever. So that might be something to think about too. It could just be separate tables, not a separate event, just.
Yeah.
We had it at the school too, we have such great facilities, and people have never been inside.
And more,
Also,
yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, let's go to Van Warren.
I'm just saying, it's a beautiful
It's
gym.
so pretty.
Actually,
Wow.
would like, is it called the mezzanine suite? What
Yeah,
is that?
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
That would be great.
I think so.
I think
There you go, we just need a date.
maybe, having a different location, I can just tell you, just on working with ADs and getting sports physicals, and it's kind of amazing. But if we used to have it every year, we just stay at Christmas because it's kind of centralized. But we have a very, very small population from Nowlin and Van Horn. So then what we started doing is, and so this was with physical, sorry. And then we started bringing some doctors and nurse practitioners to Nowlin or Van Horn, and our numbers skyrocketed. So I don't know if that necessarily leads over to parents and their involvement, but just based on those experiences, I would suggest, certainly, I'd love to showcase Van Horn, but maybe then do something on the other side of Van
Yeah,
Horn.
I mean, it is travel, like Antwerp for my side of town feels far, and I'm sure
Yeah.
my side feels far, and opposed to live on that.
We have two, one in the fall, one in the spring.
Yeah, maybe divide it up.
Where,
I just remember Blake saying, 'cause there was some time I was so envious of this, you all actually did board meetings at the schools, I remember you saying.
It was because we didn't have a second.
Because central office was,
But
asbestos.
did you notice
infected.
more engagement from the community when you
I
guys
don't,
did?
I don't think so.
No?
It was nice to do that, we didn't have any show.
Okay.
We had children's activities like the choir was saying, and parents would come and support the kids, and then when they were done, they left. So it left us with a small attendance.
what's the name of the building where the MLK,
Truman.
so-
Oh,
that's
Memorial.
a pretty good space too.
That's not a bad idea either.
I see things.
Alright, so what I have is working with Megan to kind of get some of that information out on the website, or on the Insider, have that written down. And then that'll be one of the interview questions for this fall. As far as that goes, I'm looking at the spring, potentially doing something related to facilities and innovation, with that. And I would actually then again, look at bringing someone in to facilitate that like we had last time. So we would look at that in the spring, and then if the search firm does the one in the fall, so we have that as well. And then, like I have written down, just broadening the, engagement and the levels of publicity.
And I was also gonna say, and maybe I did this last time, but specifically sending an invitation, first invitation to the city council, presidents of Rotary and Kiwanis, and different service clubs, and patrons that are in the club that we'd like to, because it will broaden out the support, I think, of the city of towns, if they come and see what's actually going on.
But I will say, I've done personal invitations to convocation, we have a great list of people that will be there.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Just to piggyback on that, I want to just tell you, thank you so much for targeting some groups like Rotary and INEA and some of those things. And I would, yeah, I just think that's a really good way to
It
get our
is.
message out. And it's, you don't even have to say, you know, you should go this way or that way or whatever. You're just getting out the information. I think that's wonderful, right?
It's great public
And I'm
relations.
just trying to think, are there any groups of, people who are like age 60 up that,
We have patrons, and then retired teachers,
Church.
retired teachers.
I mean, there you go,
Yeah,
you know?
sure, the retired teachers
Yeah.
association,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
all of it.
Just, if there's any of those that be, I mean, I know you totally busy, but if there's any
Yeah.
of those that can,
Right. You said city council,
And
Rotary.
service clubs, yeah.
And our student government association.
Yeah,
Right,
student
yeah,
government
those would be-
associations, yeah.
and then the last component, which good timing, so it's 2:30. Great. So one of the things to have a conversation about, we mentioned recognitions, and I think this was something that we had talked about, Director Monte. But for, I guess I'd like to know in your all's mind, what does recognition mean? What does it look like, sound like? What are your thoughts in relation to that?
Acknowledgement, just, it's gonna be different, I guess, person to person. I don't need a plaque or a poster, just a thank you, or kind of thing. Appreciate you doing, I see you.
Notes? Thank yous?
Public recognition, I guess.
I think it needs to be among their peers. I think, you know, when their peers see that, it gives
think that, this is twofold. I think it goes back to like our image earlier, because you're promoting things that are the great people that work for us, we're promoting our schools, great things going on in buildings, but then it also is just a warm fuzzy feeling for staff. And like, to what you said, they feel valued. So sometimes I don't know if it's really about what they receive. It doesn't have to be a huge investment financially.
Are you thinking like individual, like awards, like you had 100% attendance, or are you thinking, let's give everybody across the district popcorn today? I mean, what would recognition be? Would it be more general or single people out, or?
I think there's some, I just thought it was a good idea to try to, highlight some great things going on, whether that be programs or individuals. So I think, and these are just some things that I see on like local board member pages, and it's like, hey, this was staff member of the month. So, I mean, that's one way, and I'm not saying we tackle all of them at once. So if we decide we're gonna do the staff member, cool, and then just start there, just pick one thing that we decide. So I don't think it, I didn't have a specific one in mind, I just thought it would be great to hear and see about some great people in our district, one way or another.
I think it's more intentional, and more, I guess, well received when, like, my name is involved instead of my specific role, or like, you know, community services or bus driving. It's like, you know, Anthony, whatever. I know that can be a lot, especially as many staff persons that work in this district. So there will obviously have to be some thought process in how you do this. But I can tell you this, every time I meet with the region I work for, names are called, even down to the people that report up to me, like their names are even called in those meetings. And so it's just really like, it's so motivating and empowering. Of course, they have money to give us and things like that. But it's just the fact that you saw me working, you saw me doing my job and going the extra mile. I do like the fact that I've seen on some board meetings, like they just have like a moment in their meeting where they highlight and call their name. They come up and, you know, share a quick thank you or whatever you've done. So it's just like one way to kind of funnel it is like it's just one person at a board meeting, you know, kind of thing. So.
I know the city does that pretty much every meeting that they recognize. Do we have, employee of the month at buildings or district one?
And I think some buildings do like recognitions, like at Truman, we used to have some at the end of the year, and there's always somebody that had like perfect attendance.
The transportation is that.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's kind of fun. I just, I thought it would be great even coming from us, like maybe it's something, and I think there are two sides of that. I think it's kind of cool to have it at a board meeting, but I also think some teachers would be like, now I have to go to a board meeting tonight to, you know, so I think it would be cool maybe if it was even just one of us and like Dr. Grant, like went to school that day and did it in front of that was one of the coolest moments actually for me. I earned a grant through this program fund for teachers. They presented it in front of my students. I had no idea they were coming, they organized it through the building, but just to have that and receive it in front of my students was much cooler for me than coming to a board meeting. So, I mean, I think for some teachers, like your life, a lot of times, there's a lot of time outside of school asked of you, but for you to have to attend another meeting is more, not necessarily a recognition.
So some of the things that I wrote down,
Yep.
Jill, to your point, I think it was you, talking about in front of your peers, the recognition from someone, I don't remember, I think it was you who said that. Didn't, would you put, okay, I wrote that down. Making it in front of your peers. We have the transportation event that happens quarterly for perfect attendance, different things that we've made into a big deal. And some of the things that we'll be doing every time we go and visit a building, we'll be tracking our visits, is to do something, right? Is if it's go into a classroom and give the teacher a 15-minute break because I'm gonna read to your class, or I'm gonna go and help with lunch duty. You do that for an elementary principal with kindergartners on that first week of school, they will love you. They will love you. Helping with arrival, helping with dismissal, those types of things. On the first day, transportation, I've asked my cabinet to be there 5:30 in the morning when bus drivers are getting here to say thank you for being here. And so we're gonna be doing some of those things. So I'm happy to extend that invitation if you want to show up to some of those. I've asked people to, and we're submitting a Google form and we're gonna keep track of, we've been here, we've done this. So that we're doing some of those things. And so for me, like the things I wrote down for recognition or care, we're noticing them. We have consideration for them. We have an awareness of how hard their job is. The mindfulness, the acknowledgement, like you said, Vice President Monday, and then praise. And so incorporating some of that to what we do within our visits, that's what we'll be doing on our side of things. I'm happy to extend to all of you. Now, am I gonna know exactly when that is, but like the transportation first day of school, we're gonna be there, bright and early. Dr. Sal's getting donuts, we're gonna have coffee.
What kind of
We're
donuts
there.
are
Get some extra donuts.
That kind of thing, we're gonna have some of that, but
Could you put in your Friday report, here's opportunities this coming month or this coming week
Or
or
even on
something?
the Google Calendar, and then we're able to Anthony.
I need to talk to
I'm
Todd.
just waiting.
I need to talk to Todd about the Google Form.
Another thing I was thinking too is if we do things at the buildings, I don't know how hard this would be, but if we could have some kind of a video of that, and then what we can do at the board meeting is show the videos, that way they don't have to come.
I like
They're
that.
Still pushing it out to people. And it can be short, 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was our favorite recognition of the month.
I also really appreciate the difference maker that, was that Megan that, I mean, Megan's doing it, I don't know whose idea it was, but I think that's great. I just, think this would be a great addition as well, because that one is strictly social media. This would be more of live presentation of some sort. My struggle was, how do we, like, who are we asking to nominate? Are we reaching out to the community, or are we just asking buildings, or?
I think, like, do an open thing, like, send it to everybody, do you?
Or even
Did
have it on
some
the website.
ISD staff member go above and beyond for you? And then, I mean, that would take work to cull through all the responses, but you might get some really great stories too about cool things that our staff are doing for our kids, for our families.
I tell you what, it feels incredible to be nominated for something.
Yeah.
I-
Even just sharing that email, you've been nominated because of this.
Right.
Like that, even if it goes no further and they don't make it to the board meeting or the.
That's something our building does for Teacher of the Year. Like, everyone who was nominated gets the paper that somebody filled out for them, and that's
You know,
huge.
you could probably print it out and put it in your, your feel-good box. I don't know, I have a feel-good box. I have such feel-good.
Yes, I will forward.
I'm sure. I wanna go back to Jean's Day. She brought up, is it possible for us to just offer the Mondays that we do have school as a Jean's Day? Since those are days that it's not, it's a 5-day week, like I understand the first day of school not, but it could be an easy way, and only what, like 10 a year or so? An easy way to say, we recognize being on Mondays ain't great. It's an automatic Jean's Day. Is that?
So one of the things that I'll be rolling out, Dr. Stout here, knows this, but, and President Nixon and I have this conversation. I believe that teachers are professionals, and I believe that I don't have an issue if they wear jeans. And each of them, they can dress as professionals, and so if they wear jeans, then they can wear jeans. That's my philosophy of, they're gonna dress professional. And
Yeah, that was always the understanding at Sherman, if you were colored jeans, you were, could wear those anytime, so we.
Or leggings.
Oh, exactly, or leggings, which.
Or skirts and a t-shirt.
Sometimes look a lot worse than jeans. So anyway,
I will be sharing that. Unless you don't have, if you don't have.
No, do it, I love it.
I think
I
it's great.
really genuinely feel like though that that's an administrative decision. I don't know that we as school board members need to be involved dress code.
Well, I appreciate that, but that's just, I wanted you all to know my thinking, and, you know, that's just my philosophy.
That's one.
I think that's a great way to
Wonderful.
make people feel like they are professionals, we can make that decision.
Yes, I agree.
Dr. Stash is excited for Fridays.
No tie Friday, great day.
I heard jeans, I don't know anything about ties.
No,
But it does have to be spirit wear, I did say that, so.
oh, so this is an extended central office.
So I,
You gotta wear khaki and button-ups, but no tie on Friday.
So here's what I have for the report with recognitions. In my Friday report, I promise I will try my hardest. I will admit there are some days it's day to day, as Cammy, that one keeps me in line, thank goodness. So to send out, I plan to be here. Now, it's not going to be just me, my whole cabinet will be doing that. I won't know exactly where they're going to be, but you'll know hopefully what my plan is.
Would you want us to like email Cammy to say I'd
Yeah.
like to be at this?
Sure.
You know, what if it isn't, I mean, I feel like there's a point where we're creating more work for you than what you should be having to do. Like, what if you could say, there's a day of the month that typically you would aim for doing something in the building, and maybe we could say, if on that day we're available, we would go, like,
My plan is to already be in there, at least somewhere once a week. That's my plan, and I'm happy to share that if you wanna show. If I'm not gonna be there, I will say, there is no way I'm gonna be anywhere this week. And I will happily say that, I don't have an issue with that. I won't create things, I promise. I don't, if that's kind of what we're talking about. If it's on my calendar doing, I will share it. Because that's my plan, is to be there for people, I wanna be a part of it. I mean, that's the joy of what we do, like, it's not sitting in the office, I will tell you that.
So it can't be more than three
But-
of us with you,
Correct,
so we need to
yeah.
know who's.
First weekend.
But,
By the way, we did this years ago.
Yeah.
The board was out of the buildings like this all the time.
Yeah.
And that would just send something out saying who can be there.
Mhm.
And, sometimes there was one, sometimes there was none, sometimes there was three.
Yeah.
But that happened a long time ago. It was,
Yeah.
pretty good.
Is there a reason why we can't have three? I mean, it's not a quorum, it's
We
not a
can't
board,
have
but.
three, we can't.
Well,
have
no
four.
more than three, is what he said.
Yeah, no more than three.
We can't have a quorum.
But, I mean, if we're not doing school board.
We are avoiding the very appearance of things we should be
I'm just
doing.
saying, show up at
I said,
graduation.
that's really correct, if we're not doing board business, we could be together more than three.
I think anytime we have more than three, there's always some kind of an open meeting notification, like graduations. Anytime there's more than three, the public knows about it. So I would be concerned that if we had more than three and the public wasn't aware of it, like you said, we don't wanna have the
Anything can happen.
Yeah, I
interference.
mean, like, we show up for lunch at New Teacher Academy, you know what I mean, like, it's stuff
But
that's
the
not
public
public.
is aware of that though.
I mean, that's not posted.
I thought it was. I thought
New Teacher Academy,
That doesn't
Well, I mean, it was
lunch.
advertised, I
Yeah,
mean,
so I
I
mean,
don't know.
Yeah, just to the,
Just like
Not
teachers,
to.
not to.
Not to the
Yeah.
public.
I can see that becoming a thing,
I mean,
but I'm
it's
willing
not
to
something
try
that
something.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
planning at 5:30 a.m. thing, cause that works for my schedule.
We can see how many times we have more than three and see if it's even an issue.
Yeah, that's true. But it takes one
probably will not be a difference.
person to see it and then it's crazy. Maybe that won't happen. Maybe that won't happen. Just, we'll be in different parts of the building, okay?
There you go.
So, transportation, you know what's happening there at first day of school, all that. Friday report, I'll let you know if I'm gonna be somewhere that week, if you'd like to show up, just let me know, and go in there. And so, that's kind of where we are with that, from my piece.
we get the fancy, cool, fast fan?
For what?
Just,
For transportation, so we're just showing up. Just saying, maybe we're getting up early. Happy first day of work.
Yeah.
So that's where we are with recognitions, on our side of things, the difference makers, just keeping that up. And anything else?
I have one more suggestion, I was gonna ask you if this
Sure.
is possible or not, or if anybody's interested in it, but, and I got this idea because we used to do this years ago. And we did it in, memoriam, really, for Dr. Bob Collier.
Yeah.
Dr. Bob program, we may still do those character traits, and
No, we have not done that.
I thought we kind of dropped that.
Yeah.
But I think it made a big difference when we did that. And I think it made a difference in the community, because the community, we had, billboards all over town, trustworthy, and had the definition, honesty, integrity, it was all over town. I don't know if we got any of those billboards free, or we had to pay a reduced rate or a regular rate. But, that was the month of trustworthy for all the school. And then, we had little kids get the award for trustworthy month, or whatever it was. And then they were interviewed, and it would show up on the district website with this little kid telling what trustworthy meant to him or her. I think it made a big difference in the community, I really did. And it taught the kids something. And I remember the kids being excited that they recognized, and this is elementary on up, so just an idea.
Yeah, we always had, homework lessons that tied to the character trait.
Oh, you did?
And we had a staff member and a student that would get that character trait award then.
We
Dr.
still
Bob.
do, we
Yeah.
still do something.
Say leader and me.
Yeah,
Oh,
leader in
every
me.
Leader in Me does an award every month. But maybe we can incorporate that with somehow acknowledging that.
Where do you go out?
Maybe
No,
Brad,
we'll
I'm just like,
do
I'm
one
like,
more
I'm
thing.
like, what's the leader? But here's gonna be the interesting thing with leader in me, because I think that would be an easy way to do that. Every building is at a different stage of leader in me right now.
Yeah, that's,
And if they're not there, then their school's not gonna have,
Are they fully, though, is this the year that they're fully?
so there's tier 1, 2, and 3. And so if you're
Are
at
they
tier,
all still, are they all now tier 1?
yes, but tier 1 is like self-reflection, self-evaluation type stuff, and you're not at the, to where you're implementing.
I was thinking that tier 1, last year we had everyone at tier 1, so this year we would have at least tier 2.
I'm not sure everyone's ready for tier 2.
Well, maybe something to roll out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dovetail with that, back then, the Chamber of Commerce, I can't remember who the president was, Rick Hemmings probably, but every time they had a monthly luncheon, they would incorporate that character trait of the month at the luncheon.
Nice.
So it just kind of caught on.
Yeah, it did, I remember it being throughout the community for sure.
How many of you had a thing that had all of the 12 pens on it?
Oh, yeah. I actually, when I was in HR, I had that.
Yeah.
Kids,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah,
We had little magnets.
Yeah.
Refrigerator.
right. Yeah.
Well, that was
little
something.
orange body,
Yeah.
It's what?
his little orange body.
That's what it was.
Okay.
Need a motion to adjourn or?
Hey, 6 minutes left.
Feed them and get them out early.
That's right.
That's in a row.
That's what Patty said.
I know.
Can I, sorry. Do we have a plan for the bond communication, like what we're gonna do for that, like?
Not yet.
Not yet.
My focus right now would be boarding and then going into that bond.
And the court date is the 31st? The 30th, so it's, okay, so that's 10 days. Oh my gosh, are we getting an email that day, or how are we gonna? How are we gonna find out?
I'll send a smiley face or a frowny face.
Oh my gosh.
website, it can be posted.
I thought Dwayne said he was going to somehow let us know.
I thought he
I
was
think he
saying.
can send a legal advice to undisclosed or whatever and stuff before.
Didn't he say it would be another day or two?
That's what I-
He would let us know kind of the general.
Right.
And the audit, I got my email, but, you know, the test email. So
Yeah, I did too, but I haven't
It's
seen
coming
it.
out.
And that was
the
like,
final one did.
that was like over a week ago.
That was probably like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was,
So I'm not sure why it's taking.
well, and I know I wasn't at that block, sorry, Tom, but we're ready to.
Accepting a motion to adjourn.
Motion we adjourn.
I'll second.
That was Wendy.
Thank
Blake,
you.
Blake, Blake.
Roll call.
Alright, are we ready for a roll call?
Yes.
Okay, Carrie Dixon.
Yes.
Anthony J. Mundane.
Yes.
Denise Spears.
Yes.
Jill Essery. Yes. Blake Robertson.
Yes.
Brandy Fruente.
Yes.
Wendy Baird.
Yes.
Alright.
We're close, Kenny.
We are.
All right.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were waiting.
All good, all good.
You guys will take Steven is alternative.
I'm not taking any more candy.
Can I ask a quick question real quick? So I sent the calendar invite, does everybody use the board calendar?
Yes.
I need help with it.
Okay, I thought I heard somebody saying they
Yeah,
needed
I
help.
need help with it, so.
Would it be helpful if I post, like, put something on the board calendar, but also sent individual invites to each of you? Would that be
I'd really
helpful?
I
appreciate
find
whatever you
individual
did.
invites awesome,
Ooh,
Okay,
yeah, I got it.
because the calendar for some reason will not sync to my phone.
Right, that's what.
It
I
seems
did
to
same
mine,
either.
I followed the instructions
I've
when
tried.
they started
So
last
I
year, and
could-
I've tried several times.
put, like, today, I could put that on the board calendar and then invite each of you, that way you at least.
And that, there's no doubt about it, it syncs.
So
It comes to
everybody's
my
okay with
phone,
that?
it's on my calendar, oh, like, it's amazing. I don't know why I can't do it.
I might be
What?
Todd thing involved.
My problem
maybe
is
Todd
it
just
came
needs
from
to
Sayers
say it.
family and not
Well, I
use
don't-
at ISD.
I have been using your Denise Spears ISD, so I
Thank
can
you.
keep using that one if that's okay.
I just don't know why, the last two that I got for teacher of the year and classified of the year, both came from Pearson.
I don't think I.
Oh, that was
No.
Christina.
Oh, Christina.
So I will go through and
I think it
add
was from Christina.
to the
It was.
board, add each of you individually. And then you can also just RSVP that way, so unless it's something I need an actual confirmation, like there's a registration, I can just look at that.
Yeah,
Okay, I will make sure I get that updated this week.
and that's where, like, the teacher of the year thing, I put thank you for those.
I'm working on my calendar,
It's
Katie.
just,
It would be
after
great
all,
if we
whether I'd be
could,
able to
it
get
would
off
be
for it.
fantastic if I could just have the
I just
calendar on my
came
phone.
from Pearson and
But I have to like go through the app, find the calendar, let it up, it's like a disaster.
Thanks for the good.
So, yeah,
Why
I'll talk to you.
So I'll go through and add you all individually, and then maybe at the next meeting you can ask Todd to take a look at it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean, I wanna make it easy for everybody.
Well, I wanna make
All
sure
right,
you all.
well, well done.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
Yeah.
See ya.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
See ya.
City council meeting.
Oh, thank
You
you.
need anything, Dr. Grant?
What was that?
You need any help with anything? Sure.
We're good, yeah.
It'll be at 12:30.
Thanks for gonna be used to that.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for all the goodies.
Yeah. I'm gonna try really hard to zoom in.
Have a great trip.
Thank you, and I am gonna try really hard to zoom in on that meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
Also,
thank you for being here.
Eat by whales that day.
Yeah, and please note that we are doing, 4:30 that day.
Yeah.
Just
Which is
how
like
that is
it's
go.
Dr. Grant, a great meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good food, everything
Thank
was
you.
great.
Good.
Thank you for the sweater.
Thank you, Kim.
Bye. Have a good day.
You too.
Oh, I should have taken my sweater off.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I think you wrote down last time that you were
Take it
gonna send me a Zoom invite.
I was thinking about it. That's where it's meeting you and the good part is the bad part is
Which one?
Yeah.
You can't function.
Because you thought you would be
you for your work.
Join the work session.
Thank you.
Because since it's.
Give me another sucker.
Yes.
I think we're, tomorrow though.
Yes.
Well, it's perfect. Much as possible. Do
Thank
the
you,
work.
Mike.
Okay.
Very much.